Hello, welcome to Geek Book Club. This is where we chat about books, things that are amazing, because I feel that the art of reading a book and talking about it is, you know, it's fun, it's wavering, and we need to give it the breath of life and make it awesome again. So that's exactly what we're doing. What's up? My name's Maud Garrett. I am the boss bomb of Geek Bomb. Joining me, just
we're not working.
Oh no, reverb. Oh, hey, we got all these windows open. Michele Boyd.
Hi, Michele Boyd. How's it going?
Is on as well, and a big thanks to Michele, who you know, we've spoken about this book before, but she's mates with Ernie, and I kind of want to talk more about that, how you guys, your paths have crossed. But you know, who better to talk to Ernie than a mate of Ernie's? And joining from Australia, fellow book lover and Geek Bomb member, it is our online editor, Tegan Jones. Hello there, Miss Jones.
Oh, hey, guys.
Hi, Tegan. So first things first, I kind of want to ask everyone, can you remember the first time and where you were or when you read the book and how quickly you read it? Go.
I got the book for Christmas from my stepfather, who basically just gave me the book saying, you will like this. And I stayed up all night that night and read it. So I was done by Christmas morning the day after. It's 26.
Wow.
26 came around and I was done. I think I've reread it many times since then.
Wowee. Teagues?
Wow. Sadly, when I was still just a Geek Bomb fangirl, I saw that you guys were doing it for book club. So I'm like, that sounds like something that's for me. So I got on it, and yeah, another 24-hour turnaround. And now here I am.
Because they were saying this was the first book you actually reviewed. How many ages ago?
The end of 2013. I think it was between either September or December of 2013. And this was like one of the very first Google Hangouts that we did. And I watched it back today and it was so clunky and it was like trying to figure out everything. And even now I forgot to close another window and had this.
The reverb, I was like, oh God,
back.
This is starting again.
Dear. But yeah, we spoke for an hour and 45 minutes about Ready Player One. So, Tegan, your dedication to that alone is something I admire. And you're part of the team now, which is fantastic. And this time around, we get the author on, Ernie Klein.
Yay. So if you have questions for Ernie, he's going to be joining us in a little while to talk Ready Player One and to talk about his brand new book. This is Armada. This is the new one. This is coming out in a month. Published date July 14th. Pre-order now. But we got to read it. And I'm very happy about this.
Yeah, we got an early copy.
Through my screen at it. I can't.
Honestly, we're just doing this to rub it in, Tegan.
Completely.
Just to you.
Just for you. I'm sorry.
I first read Ready Player One because a friend of mine who we did a bit of a book swap from time to time gave it to me for my birthday in 2013. So I read it at like the beginning of April, and my turnaround was about 2 days. So I just kind of, but it was that thing where I was like, don't talk to me, anyone, just for a couple of days until I've gotten this out of my system, because I cannot stop. This is a book that I've never really had before, because it just harnesses geekdom into this quantified fashion where anything you didn't even know you loved is in this book.
Yes.
And you get to play it in a future, like play through it all. Like, this is the thing. It's a futuristic book about previous nostalgia.
And that's I think was one of my favorite parts about it, was the framing of this, because how do you have a book with 80s references throughout and still make it current? And the way that he did it, with it being this kind of Easter egg hunt, with it being this whole Willy Wonka kind of guy who was obsessed with the 80s, and he designed an entire Oasis around it, was just perfect. I loved it. I love being able to kind of have all those references. And I never played a lot of video games in the 80s. I had very basic ones. So stuff like Joust and things I wasn't familiar with. So I got to learn stuff too.
Definitely.
I had quite a few references that I was just like, yes. But other ones I was like, oh, much to learn I have. The concept of the game is fantastic. I mean, you've got the main protagonist, who's Wade Watts, who, you know, it's the trope that we kind of see, which is perfect for a hero, and that is he's an orphan. He's a little
he's not an orphan. He has a mom.
No, that's his aunt.
That's his aunt.
You do hear about the mom initially,
right.
but the mom, works as an escort, and she dies of a drug overdose. So, you know, you kind of see him in an unfortunate situation with no money, and he's really got to fend for himself. And then he's thrust into a world where not only does he have kind of equal rights and equal opportunities, but he actually is so well versed in what us nerds get claimed we shouldn't even know or waste our time on. Why did you go outside and kick a ball? It's like, well, everything that you make fun of us for learning, this is the power that this book gives you. So the more you know about that, the better you become. Tegan, what did you think about the book? What did you love? What did you take away from it?
Besides just being able to just indulge in just that level of geekdom and just to almost bathe in it, I think what I really liked as a book lover is that with the whole 80s references, that could have so easily just dated itself and not worked, and yet it did. It was just such masterfully done, and I really appreciated that. And as much as I really liked going, oh, I know the game, I know that, it was kind of like when they'd throw in like a Family Ties reference, it was kind of like a little warm hug almost. You're like, even that was just fabulous and just worked so well.
It felt very familiar even the first time reading it because of all the references, and you're just like, it's like a warm hug. That was fun. There's a lot of like, I get that reference. Yes, I do.
Not only that, I felt this book was quite an easy read. I didn't find myself kind of straining and, you know, getting exhausted reading it. I kind of slipped into a great escape in a way. And because he described everything so easily, like they were almost instructions. This is what the Oasis is. This is how you entered it. This is what happens once you are in it. It was kind of like spoon-fed in a way that you were learning about it without even knowing. You know, you were learning about something that you'd never even wrapped your head around before, but it was done in such a way where it all made so much sense. And before you know it, you're so a part of this world and you just got it. And I know a couple of times, like something would happen, for example, the first challenge would reset every 24 hours and yet two people unlocked it within 15 minutes of each other. And I was listening along to the audiobook. Yay, Will Wheaton for voicing that one. I was straight away going, oh, well, that can't happen because the rules state. And then it would be like, little did you know that, and it would kind of be along with it. So you get it.
And that happens a lot with video games. And as a gamer, I was like, oh, yes, of course. Okay, people camping out. No, that's exactly what would happen. And actually, I mean, even from the very beginning, with the first challenge that no one was able to do in the book for however many years.
5 years.
That 5 years.
Yep.
Yeah. That basically you got to be able to come in, and the point was that anyone could have done it. It wasn't like this challenge that only the strong and only the people with endless amounts of credits and money could have done. Like it was I don't want to spoil anything, but it was based on something anybody could do.
The thing is, we're doing a book club, and I know we've got Alan Michael who's saying, you know what, I'm about to watch a book club about a book that I haven't actually read. I love that attitude. That's awesome. Matthew Thowine, who's actually commenting on the YouTube page, says, can't wait for Armada. Ready Player One movie coming soon. Yes, it is, and we'll be talking more about that. Guys, if you do want to chat, if you're watching this one live, tweet GeekBomb at GeekBomb, or write in the comments below on YouTube too, because we've got a chat feed, and we'll be talking about all those things. This book I know kind of took off really, really fast. And if you hadn't read it, then it became a part of the Loot Crate. So 1 month Loot Crate gave it away to anyone who was subscribed. And I think that's because this is like the holy grail of the geek book, just in terms of covering as much of geekdom as possible in one way. And it's not made up things. It's not like, oh, this is a game where da-da-da-da-da. It's like, this is a game that you've played. This is a show that you've watched. This is the book that you've read. And it's all accumulated into this one particular fantasy world, which is his fantasy, your fantasy, my fantasy. If you're a geek, everything in this, it's like you want to be a part of. It's this is a geekgasm with words.
And I wonder whether, I would love to hear a perspective, because obviously everyone that I've talked to that has read it is like on our level in terms of geekdom. I would love to see it from the perspective of someone that isn't a nerd.
That's what I was just thinking too. It would be interesting.
Like I wonder if it would just not work, or if it would be like, holy crap, I've wasted my life. Like I need to get in on this.
I've been missing out on this. This is the most borrowed book that I have in my collection. Every time someone's like, oh, can I borrow something? I'll either suggest it or they'll request it. And I lent this book to Alicia. If you're watching this through Geek Bomb, you probably know who Alicia is. She's not a video game or the cliche geek that we are, you know, which is video games and it's sci-fi, fantasy, all those sort of things that we love and adore. She just kind of sticks to classic films and the film genre. I gave her this book to read and she read it quite quickly, and she actually said that she really enjoyed it. She didn't get a lot of the actual things that they were talking about. She's like, I don't know that game, I don't know these references, but the basis of the book she really loved. She got it. It's like I said, it's an entertaining book whether you're a geek or not. But if you are a geek, the whole book is the Easter eggs. So every page, you're just like, yes, ha, 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 and it's so satisfying to read it as a geek.
And I think what I loved about it too is that there was a real life Easter egg hunt in it that Ernie actually ran, which was awesome.
Yes, exactly. That the grand prize was a Delorean. I think that was won 2 years ago, last year, by a guy who had to get a world, if I remember, had to beat the world record in a video game, in one of the old video games, and someone beat and set a new world record for the video game Joust, and
No way.
won a Delorean, like you do.
It's no coincidence that Ernie owns a DeLorean.
Owns a DeLorean.
Of
He's
course.
got his own.
Yeah.
I want to talk to him about his games room. Like, he has to have one. I've got a checklist of, if I have enough money, what I would buy. And believe it or not, at the top of this list is a pinball machine called Theatre of Magic. And it's an arcade system, a pinball machine that was at my local in Bondi that I have put hundreds of dollars into, to the point where I know this game back to front, and I actually miss the sound effects with it, because when you're on the right track, this woman goes, "You have the magic." And I got like addicted to that.
I'm pretty sure you can find that and make it your ringtone and just be happy every time.
Magic. What would you guys do if you had all the money in the world? What would be your ultimate geek thing to have in your game room?
See, I was a big fan. Like, I'm going down the pinball route. Sorry?
Oh, go ahead. No, do you first.
I was going to say,
Sorry.
I was always a big fan of the Indiana Jones pinball machine. That always, like, owned my soul. Like, at the movies and stuff, like, when I was about 10, I would rock that pretty hard.
Did that have the ball that would go down the...
Yes, it would.
Yeah, I played that one. Oh, I know it. I know it.
When I worked at a pizza place in college, we had two pinball machines. We had a Jurassic Park one, and we had an Addams Family one.
Yes,
And
that one's the most popular pinball
Yes.
machine of all time.
hours
Yeah.
spent on this thing, and I still came nowhere close to the highest score that was on there.
Did Jurassic Park go? Dun, 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 dun. Fantastic. Oh yeah, Alan Michael, who is watching this and has never read the book, said, something tells me I should buy this book.
You should buy this book.
If you're a geek and have any interest in the geek world at all, this is a must read. You will enjoy it, and if you're like us, you'll be finished by the end of the week if you start now.
It's just an enjoyable read all around, and it's just kind of like little smiles, little hints, little stuff, everything that you've known and loved throughout your entire life. And I just like, so, I mean, every sci-fi movie, TV show, thing you grew up with is referenced in this in one way or another. And it's like little small things, not even direct references, but there's little small things throughout the whole book too.
There's the book. You've got it.
Yay! I know. Talk about yay! Very hard. Talk about us like loaning it out. Both of us, both Maud and I, our copies are currently loaned out to someone right now.
But the girl that I lent it to, I got a message from her last week saying, just finished it. Thank you so much. That was a great book. And it's like, oh, you're welcome. Happy to help. Happy to help you out.
Yes.
Now, the concept of the Oasis, which is basically the crux of the book, which is, you know, it's 25, 30 years in the future. They've created this virtual reality game where you put on your haptic suit, your virtual reality headset, and your gloves, and you enter what can only be described as like a second life on roids. And it's done in such a way that it's there's like over 1,000 planets, and you can travel if you've got the credits, and you can go to school. Anything that you can do in the real life, you can do there. But everything that you wish you could ever do, which you never could in real life, you can do in this game. Some of my favorite examples are there is a firefly planet. You can buy the Serenity and go around and cover everything that you saw in the show, even though it had one season. There's also Hyrule, a Hyrule planet. So you can go onto Hyrule and like, you know, play out that version of a game. Like the immersiveness that they have in there is phenomenal.
It just sounds like paradise, honestly. And you can sit there, you can fly the Starship Enterprise and then fly the Millennium Falcon. Like, side by side. You can have a race.
You're right
you
there.
can have a race.
Oh, Grease style race.
Oh my God.
Oh.
So can we race the Millennium Falcon and the Enterprise and Serenity?
Yes.
Can we race for pink slips and that?
Yes.
Racing,
exactly.
Yes.
Racing for pinks. Yeah, that I did like that it was sort of taken for granted that this is the world that everyone lives in. You know, Maud mentioned that you would go to school in it, which makes sense because, you know, it's a little bit of a dystopian future. You know, you're not really, people don't live in cities very well. And so, you know, a lot of kids don't have the capability of being able to go to school. So this way, through James Halliday, who was the one who designed Oasis along with Ogden, made it so that even like the poorest kids would still be able to have an education and still make it happen. But not everybody wants it to remain that way, which is where the Sixers come in, who are the bad guys of this entire book.
Yes, it can't be all smiles and whistles and rainbows. The Sixers are an elite organization that basically want to own the Oasis and then put a monthly subscription on it, meaning that if you cannot afford the $15, $20, however many dollars per month to be on it, you do not get to be a part of it. Not only that, but they would put advertising all through the Oasis. I love that is such a threat. Like, I cry real tears when I'm trying to watch a video that goes for 17 seconds and I have to sit through a 30-second ad that I cannot skip.
And you try,
I'm getting
a little bar. Nope.
No.
This is the future.
No.
And I love
I'm getting too much Carrie Underwood. Too much Carrie Underwood is just popping up all over my devices, like with those games. Oh God, just everywhere. Like what he was, you know, talking about in that is so real and so terrifying already.
Yeah, and I mean those are the companies that sort of have a stranglehold on what you see and hear and play these days. So I like that was the bad guy in this. And so the idea is that in order to control the Oasis, because the creator James Halliday has died, he has created this Easter egg hunt throughout the Oasis, and there's 5 clues that you have to track down, solve before anybody else, and the first person to do that gets the Oasis.
Not only the Oasis, but they get James Halliday's entire fortune because he has died with no relatives and no heir. So I think it's like $260 billion. And of course that sent everyone into
which I mean, for all we know in the future, that's like $5. It's but I think it's probably a little bit more than that. Yeah. I love it. I love the Willy Wonka Easter egg kind of feel to it. You know, got the golden ticket once Wade Parzival solves the first one, which I'm sorry, that's not really a spoiler. It's focused on Wade. You knew that was going to happen.
Yeah.
Then it just becomes this crazy race of all the other Gunters, which is the term for these Easter egg hunters, going throughout the Oasis and trying to solve it ahead of the Sixers, the evildoers,
the conglomerate force of destruction. I do like the fact that it is. You know, you've got to collect the key and then find the gate, and then the key unlocks the gate, and then that moves you on to the next thing. Every time I will read a clue, I kind of understand why no one's got it for 5 years. Because I'll see it's difficult, and I'm like, what? And you have to just know everything. It's like with trivia. It's like, here, we'll do a geek trivia, and you're like, sounds great, but then it's like you have to know everything, every book, every author, every theme, every video game, every character, every item, every weapon, every song, every TV show, you know, you name it, you have to know it. And it's like, I just feel like sometimes, you know, if I'm like, oh, who's the bounty hunter? I'm like, oh, Aura Singh, the one with the sniper rifle. And they're like, shut up, nerd. You know, you're not supposed to know that.
Like, my knowledge has value.
It's like, I remember when, Wade Percival is Parzival.
Because Percival was taken. That's a very, very common problem, by the way. Artemis with that 3 was instantly taken by everybody. It's very unfair.
He was hanging out with his best friend H in the common room, or like their little secret basement, and they were just kind of going back and forth testing each other, and you had to know everything. and everyone was kind of looking at them in awe. And I was like, well, that doesn't happen.
But this is a world where that would, and I love that that's celebrated. I love that, you know, the level of crazy, weird geek knowledge, like that's an asset. That's a major part of finding this thing. And it has real value in this world because if you know all the things, you get the prize. I love that.
I'd be interested to know, I mean, there's the Anorak's, what's the Anorak's analog?
His essentially.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah,
a
list of all the like references and things you should know, but there's stuff that's not even on that list.
It just so happens.
The almanac. Anorak's almanac.
That's it.
And I think he calls it his Grail diary, like just to throw a bit of Indiana Jones in there as well. Yeah.
Yep,
yeah, exactly.
The Grail Diary. It just happens that James Halliday, he grew up in the 80s. So all of the things that kind of resonated with him the most in his life happened in his childhood / teenage years, which were in the 80s. I just feel like I'm a decade out, you know? So like I never really played Atari 2600. My first console was a DOS video game, computer.
Oh gosh.
DOS computer, which I had to code to get access to the games. I was coding at like 6.
You had to.
Yeah, that's what it was. But I kind of just felt like I'd be interested to know if Ready Player One was just written by someone a generation younger, how different that would be. Because it would be Friends.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
It would be Thundercats. It would be...
I mean, it'd be Thundercats. It'd be Gummy Bears. It'd be Gummy Bears.
Bouncing here and there and everywhere.
Smurfs. Snorks.
Oh, Snorks.
Remember Snorks? Everyone remembers Snorks.
Except me.
No,
it was Smurfs Under the Sea, basically.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, dude.
This thing.
We don't need to talk about that.
I'd be so interested though, like if we all had to kind of pen 40 things that would be in our almanac, what they would be. What are the 40 things that resonated with us the most?
Well, I think there'd be a lot of overlap because you have Star Wars, you have Star Trek, you have Firefly, you have the basics. You know, you have a lot of the books. Yeah, I like Star Trek. I'm a Star Trek girl versus
Me too.
No, Star Trek, Next Generation. And then a lot of the books too, you know, he references obviously Vonnegut, and you know Gibson, all of the sci-fi, tons of sci-fi writers. Neuromancer, good book. I'll lend it to you.
Yay! We'll get them on the next book club. Next time.
I feel like if it was made in the 90s, like somehow there'd be a big sliders element into it. I reckon that would have been a thing.
Sliders!
Sliders was a great show.
Yeah.
What have we got here? Andrew Blundell's written in YouTube and says, with the way technology has advanced recently, do you reckon that we'll ever get to a point where we all get a chance to enter the Oasis or something similar with the same immersion level? Andrew, you have to be from Australia. Why? You said reckon.
He could be from Tennessee.
Do they say it there?
They say reckon. It's a Texas thing.
Didn't know that.
Well, they already have. Well, they do have Oculus Rift now, which I got a chance to try at last year's Comic-Con, and it's pretty immersive. I mean, you know, as far as like being able to look around and see everything. So the visual aspect, I think, is getting there. And I know that they're working on actual haptic gloves, haptic suits. They have kind of the omnidirectional treadmill. So no matter which way you're walking, you're never going to hit something. So they're getting pretty close. I like to think that it will eventually, you know, incorporate all this stuff that I love from sci-fi and fantasy. But to be honest, and I'm sure this is going to be a problem with the film, and I'm really interested to see how it's going to happen. Licensing is going to be a huge problem. So this, you know, immersive video game world is probably going to have its own mythologies and toys.
I think that's why it does work. You know, because it's like if I wanted to enter the Oasis right now and I wanted to get freaky with Geralt from Witcher.
Oh, yeah.
Just throwing that out there.
But then I was having, you know, a little bit of FOMO from Cullen over in Dragon Age Inquisition. There's absolutely no way that BioWare and Namco / Warner Brothers are going to have a conversation where they're like, yeah, let's all work on this together. You can have all of our properties and all of our stuff and do whatever you want with it.
Let the girls bang all of them. Let the girls bang all of the men. All of them.
And we have no issue with this.
That's all I'm after.
But you have games like Minecraft where you can build very similar things that you already recognize. Someone went through and built all of Essos and Westeros from Game of Thrones and then figured out how long it would take for you to walk the entire thing.
That's probably the closest we could get. If Minecraft, keep doing that. Like, sure, it's all blocky and boxy, but everyone can go in there and do the same thing. Imagine Minecraft on roids. That's probably one of the more realistic things where you can build your own places.
Yeah.
And therefore, because someone hasn't taken the exact properties and coding from a game and just put it straight in there, there's your loophole.
There we are.
Yes. Michele Boyd, you are onto something here.
I like it.
We've also got James Cremens, who went on the conversation of what would be in your ultimate gaming room. He says, my ultimate gaming room accessory would be the Star Wars X-Wing fighter game or a Mortal Kombat arcade game.
Oh, yeah.
I used to play that X-Wing fighter game.
I played the Mortal Kombat game. Actually, I was big on the Ninja Turtles one.
That was great, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Actually, I only played it a couple of years ago.
Lots of button mashing.
Double Dragon as well.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I've got a good one. I used to play, you'd go into the arcade and they would have like the top down ones. So the ones where you'd be looking over like the table and it was like built into the table. And it was like one of this, like the second Alex game. That was awesome. I think it wasn't Miracle World. It was like, one of the Alex kids. No, it was one of the Wonder Boys. And it was amazing. It was one of those table ones. And I would definitely put that into my ultimate gaming room.
Well, we're lucky in Los Angeles. There's actually a few arcade bars here. So we get to go play and drink at the same time. It's wonderful.
I just want my own.
I know. I'm gonna
Same.
Would you get jaded by it, though, if you had your own?
I didn't think so. I mean, you'd want to keep beating your high school. Well, that's just bring all your friends over and be like, I'm awesome at this game.
Have a beat off.
I don't think I'd have many friends for much longer. All right, we have spent a little bit of time talking about the book. What we're going to do right now is add in Ernest Cline, the author of Ready Player One.
Go technology, go.
Invitation.
Come on.
Hopefully we'll get him on board. If you do have any questions for Ernie, make sure you do comment in the YouTube comments below or tweet at Geekbomb or at Maud Garrett, and that'll come up in the feed, and hopefully we'll have a chat with him through there.
Kill technology.
Yeah, this is happening.
He's texted he's watching. So, hi, Ernie.
Hi.
Hopefully technology works and you can get in here.
You just click that link.
Click the button.
Click the link down.
We're definitely going to start talking about the movie, Pa LG. The fact Steven Spielberg is directing it. Holy crap.
So
Paul's
good.
question is, what are you guys most excited or worried about in seeing the movie? How awesome is it? Yeah, Steven Spielberg's directing. What are you most excited or worried about? I mean, the licensing.
The licensing is going to be an issue, and Easy Chair Reviews brings up a nice point. Once Disney owns everything, it won't be an issue. Kind of like, Marvel was just seeing everything. When I first saw Star Wars at Disneyland, I loved it, but I was also like, holy, what?
This is terrifying.
Okay, cool, yay, what? So it was, but then I got my R2-D2 ears and I was happy again.
Yeah.
Speaking of Star Wars, Easy Chair Reviews has commented in saying, with the whole everything in the one world, once Disney owns it all, it's all going to be Disney's intellectual property. Licensing won't be a problem.
Yeah.
And it's true.
Between Disney and Google.
Yeah, pretty much own everything anyway. Can you imagine going into... they're kind of doing that at the moment now. You guys know Disney Infinity, Lego Dimensions is going to be a new one coming out.
Yeah.
Skylanders and Amiibo with Nintendo. They're all, you collect the miniature pieces and then you place it onto a pad on the game console, and then whatever player you've just put in, that goes into the game. So basically you have to collect everything to have access to the character.
Interesting. It's a little strange.
Got to catch them all.
Yeah, exactly. Pokemon it up.
Gotta cash them all.
Yes. It'll be really interesting to see their version of the Oasis, like how we're actually going to put that in visual form, and just, and I'm sure that I'm really interested to see the differences between the Oasis versus like the real life that everyone actually has to live in. He lives in, for as far as the real world's concerned, everyone lives in like, kind of stackable houses. So I think that'll be really interesting to see.
I think it'll be colors, really, like just color palettes. I'm just imagining really like dank sort of really muted colors for the real world and more hyper color for the Oasis.
Mm-hmm.
I get what you mean. I was chatting to my brother about it, and he was saying that he thinks that there'll be 2 characters cast. One who'll play the actual, like, outside the Oasis character, and then another one that'll play the inside game character.
Oh, it's like
Unless
when you
guys
make like
think
any RPG. Like any RPG, you make
Like
a
your
photo
avatar.
version of yourself.
Yeah. Yeah, well, naturally.
Or do you think it'll be like CGI when in the actual Oasis, and then it'll cut to the person wearing the haptic gloves? Or
Wow.
how is it going to happen? I don't know.
Is Artemis really just a 44-year-old man named Chuck? Maybe she is. We don't know.
Was it H all over again?
Yeah, I like that because you just don't know.
That threw me. That got me.
There's people that don't. Yay! Wait,
I
knew it. Good to see you. Hooray!
Hey,
Hi, Ernie.
Hey guys,
there he is, the one and only Ernie Klein. Hey there.
can you guys hear me?
Loud and clear.
Wonderful.
Welcome.
So just
Yay.
quick introductions. Hi, I'm Maud. I'm the head of Geek Bomb. You know Michelle.
I don't know who you are. What's up?
And right here,
Well-
this is Tegan, who's also from Geek Bomb and is coming in from Wollongong in Australia.
Just give me 1 second. I've got you guys playing in like 3 other windows.
As you should.
I did the same.
We did the exact same thing when we started. We don't know what we're doing.
Technology, huh? It'll get you.
Yeah.
Oh,
and I
he's
think
gone.
He, and he
Oh,
closed his
gone.
own window.
He closed his own
He
window.
closed the window. Hi, Ernie. We'll see you back.
I can't wait.
I'm terrible at this too. I'm actually part of the reason, and we haven't talked about it, but part of the reason I'm here and we're sharing these headphones like we're 7th graders on the school bus,
Listening to Hanson for the first
It's just
time.
like, oh my god, this is my jam. Is because my laptop is basically a brick. It's like 2009, not even pro. Hey, welcome back.
Did you close the window that you were
I got
in?
it all work. You've
So
got
this
the
is a
author
good
of Ready
thing.
Player One. You got the author of Ready Player One on a whole new platform. I'm using a Mac.
Yeah, we're teaching you stuff now this time around.
Oh.
You taught me all about the 80s and classics that I've never tapped into, but this is the now.
Right.
So basically, we've got people from all over the world watching this particular live stream chat. Where are you calling in from?
I am calling in from my house, and I am at the opposite end of the house on wireless. So I hope I'm coming in okay, because there are people sleeping at the other end of the house, my daughter, and also dachshunds. So if people wake up and run in here, then I'm trying to do my call late at night. But I'm back here. There's actually, I can show off my new thing that just arrived today. Battlezone 1980 just came. I got it found on Craigslist in Tucson, and it just arrived in a crate today, and I'm so happy.
Oh my God,
it works
beautiful.
too. Yeah, I know it works.
So fun.
And I got a really good deal on it, and now it's gonna go right next to the Black Tiger. But this game plays like a key role in my second novel, Armada, because of the
This
history
one?
effects.
You mean
Yes.
you mean this?
Yes,
book?
that one. That one. So I'm scooping up Battlezone because I think after Armada is published next month, then Battlezone will be even harder to get. So I'm just getting mine now. I got mine.
Yes.
Love is a Battlezone.
Well, it's nice when you write the book that's going to make it harder to get later. You're like, I know.
I did the same thing with Black Tiger. I'm like, oh, if I wait until after Ready Player One comes out, Black Tiger will probably be even more expensive. So I scooped one off on eBay. That's how you do it. Before you make the game more rare, get one
Exactly.
yourself.
Exactly.
So you
Like
obviously
these,
have
like
it.
these, you want to scoop these up before they get too rare. This
Yes.
is my R2D2 flask.
I love
Oh
that.
Oh my
class.
God.
I have my one from Firefly. I feel yeah.
Oh,
You
sweet.
it has a
I should
mother's, it has
answer.
a
Okay, I'm
mother's
gonna
milk on
stop.
it.
I should stop showing off geeky stuff and answer your questions.
No, we've just spent 15 minutes talking about what would be in your ultimate gaming room or geek collection, and this is the thing that we do. We have our prized possessions, our favorites. I've moved country, and I've started my collection again from scratch, and it's like something that's a priority in my life to show it off.
Oh.
I do. I show it off. I'm showed off on Twitter. I used to be a little bit embarrassed about my garage, but now I'm not afraid to show it off.
Nerd
That is
garage.
my ultimate geek room. Is my garage where I have Ecto 88 and ET and all my other stuff. That's kind of like my Ghostbusters firehouse / Doc Brown's workshop that I have.
Ghostbusters, what do you want?
Pardon?
Nice. Go. She was being from the movie. It's okay.
Oh, I'm sorry. I love it. I love it. That's the thing about the duplexing. You can't always hear when you're talking. You can't always hear what the other person's saying. So.
Yeah, technology. We totally got it. Okay, wait. Let's talk about Ready Player One first, and then we are totally going to get to Armada because holy crap, am I excited. So.
I like it when Michelle gets excited.
Yeah, I know. Isn't it fun? I know. Oh, by the way, so oh God.
I'm all good. I'm all good.
You're okay.
It's all good.
It's all good. It's fine. You meant to do that. So Maud and I asked about how you and I knew each other, and I don't think I've even told her the story about Geek Out yet. So yeah.
Michelle and I were on. We were gonna do a show together that was announced everywhere. People are still. Al Roker just introduced me in New York and mentioned that, and I'm like, I don't think that show's happening. Al, it's actually good. Like right in the middle when they were offering everybody reality TV shows, they offered me one, and it was like, well, if you come up with a show. We'll let you do it. And I'm like, well, let me come up with something impossible that they'll never let me do. And then they let me do it. It was like make a wish for geeks, like find the biggest fan of something, biggest fan of Firefly, and then, what we're going to do for the pilot was find the biggest X-Men fan and take them to the set of Days of Future Past and let them hang out with everybody who'd ever been in an X-Men movie. We were all set to do this, and then AMC hired the guy who used to run reality shows for the country music channel, so it was like all redneck reality shows, and then he came in and I think ran the whole reality thing into the ground at AMC, except for Kevin Smith stuff, which is separate. So we ended up not getting to do it, but I predict now with the way that just the perfect storm that is happening that we will get to do it, and it will be even more kind of epic. I have this idea of me and Michelle and kind of another, like a whole team of geek Templars where we make geeks' wishes come true, like Seth Green and Kevin Smith and Will Wheaton, like whoever can make this. If we need somebody to make Star Trek dream come true, we get Will, and he just takes the biggest Star Trek fan in the world into that world, and we geek out. It would be so much fun. Michelle and I did a little Ghostbusters geeking out, and we had a blast. And I think it's the kind of television I would watch. But I don't know, like kind of streaming, I hear, is killing reality television a little bit. And we could just do this show online, and we wouldn't have to have any. I
was just gonna say, killing it, nothing. We could just do this show. Like
I think we probably end up doing it. Yeah. So that's how we met. And Michelle's just awesome. Tell them about your tattoo, Michelle. On your.
Which ones? I'm sorry.
The Japanese one. The Japanese one.
Oh, do you mean the one in Elvish?
Yes, that one.
Firefly. I mean that one.
The three that has like 3 meanings. I don't know. She was describing. Yeah. I almost passed out.
All of them. I know. It's kind of hilarious.
I'm just gonna slowly do this, Ernie.
See, that's what happens when you're like, you wandered into the realm of the super nerd. I love it.
Mm-hmm. I just love that it's sort of an instant kind of like, oh, hey, we can be friends. I can wait to talk to you. I tell the story, like every job that I book, anytime I'm on set, I always wear some version of a geeky shirt. I usually wear my Skywalker Ranch t-shirt. Although I'm watching this Asterix school casting
That's
shirt.
A bootleg. That's a bootleg. That makes it even more awesome. I wish there was some official Ready Player Dachshunds barking at me. It's all right, guys. I'm just on the internet. This is my geek shirt. I've got Rock On.
Yes, I love it.
It's good. But
just everyone showing off.
Yes, let's answer questions. Mike Mika.
Okay. Obviously, when you first wrote Ready Player One, you never thought that it would explode the way that it has because, frankly, it just blew up and it's on the must-reads, bestsellers, and now Steven fucking Spielberg is going to direct the version of your book.
How did that make you feel?
How did that make me feel? Well, I knew about it. There was a possibility a little bit before it was announced, and so imagine any potentially good news in Hollywood is potentially disappointing news later when you're like, oh, imagine if that would have happened. And that's the biggest, oh, imagine if that would have happened that anyone has ever had. Like, I never even had him on my wish list because he's on everybody's wish list. Like, when your name is synonymous with your job, like Xerox, then you know you're really crushing it. So I couldn't even, he's only ever directed someone's first novel once before, and it was Jaws. Which was the movie that made him Steven Spielberg, and it gets me so excited to think about him. Like he's doing a Roald Dahl adaptation right now, The Big Friendly Giant, and Ready Player One is heavily inspired by Roald Dahl's work. So it's like perfect that he's doing a Roald Dahl. Like if it wasn't for the Wonka books and James and the Giant Peach, like the reason Wade has to go live with his evil aunt is because in James and the Giant Peach, James has to go live with his evil Aunt Spiker and Aunt Sponge in the basement. Right after it, like opening page, you think Ready Player One is dark. James the Giant Peach, opening paragraph, James's parents get killed in front of him. Eaten by a rhinoceros at the zoo, and then they're just dead, and James is an orphan, and then luckily giant insects show up and adventure happens. They do. Yeah, as they do. So, so I'm so excited that he's doing the BFG, which is another great Roald Dahl book, and then it's going to roll into my, like, cyberpunk, The Matrix meets Roald Dahl, Willy Wonka mashup. It's amazing, and he's, like, the guy who made all the Indiana Jones movies, Close Encounters. Can you just imagine, like, my whole childhood, E.T. is all wrapped up in The Goonies, Back to the Future. I mean, I drive a DeLorean because of him. That oftentimes has E.T. in it. Like, that's the thing. Like, when I looked at my blog when this news happened, I'm like, oh, what if Steven Spielberg were to look at my website and there's these pictures of me in a DeLorean with E.T. sitting next to me, going to dig up E.T. games in Alan McGord. I'm like, oh my God, he's probably. That's like I heard Harrison Ford when he showed up to work on Ender's Game, and the producers had like the carbonite.
Oh my God!
In their desk, it was like, or hanging on the wall behind him, and he was just weirded out. He's like, "Oh, I'm gonna make a movie with these guys," and
they're like, "Okay."
Like Jabba. So that's probably maybe he. But I'm so excited. I can't even wrap my head around it, guys. I tell everybody that it's like an occurrence at Owl Creek Bridge or Vanilla Sky. I assumed I died like about 3 years ago, and I'm just making all this up in my head. Sure, you drive a time machine, and Steven Spielberg's gonna make your first novel into a movie. It's ridiculous. And so
all you're hoping for right now is that you're not gonna wake up like it's the end of an 80s sitcom and just be like, "Oh, that dream was weird." You know, roll over.
That was the whole last season of Dallas. Or Magna.
Never happened. No, fine.
I hope it's not. I hope it's not like that. Like a Morris Sparrow.
So have you met Steven Spielberg? Have you had any kind of correspondence with him?
No. But since
it's going to happen?
Since it all happened, he had already started filming the BFG, and I think they're still in Vancouver, finishing that up. So probably sometime this summer. I'm trying not to think about it because when the news happened, I was almost just doing the final copy edits on Armada. So it was good that because I needed some time to freak out and just try to wrap my head around it, and then I could start working on the screenplay. And now I'm working on the screenplay, and I'm trying not to think about meeting him, or
it'll be okay.
Being on the set. I don't know. Do you think it'll be okay? You know how it is.
I mean, maybe don't wear that. Maybe don't wear one of your 5 T-shirts, but I think otherwise you should be okay.
What about the Michael Jackson with E.T. shirt?
Yes.
Actually, on the E.T. thing, we've had someone ask on Facebook what it was actually like. So Noel Wheatley asked, what was it like going to the E.T. dig?
It was the most amazing kind of adventure. It's the kind of thing that I couldn't even have imagined doing, and just all the forces aligned for it to be epic for me. Because a few months right before that, George R.R. Martin asked to borrow my DeLorean. He lives in Santa Fe, New Mexico, and he owns a movie theater there. He bought the old movie theater in his town that closed down and reopened it. And they were going to open up the bar, part of their theater, and asked they were going to show Back to the Future. And he had met me at a convention and called me up, and it's the best phone call, one of the best phone calls of my life. Is George R. R. Martin. That name shows up on your phone. Awesome already. And then you answer. He's like, "How's it going?" And I'm like, "It's going good, George." He's like, "You still got that time machine?" And yes, sir, I do. Can I borrow it? I'm like, "Can I tell people you're borrowing it?"
It's like the best kind of name dropping.
The value of my car just went up just now. And so I let him borrow it, and then he was borrowing it for like a month. It was in his garage. He's like, "I gotta get rid of this." Why was he borrowing it?
Just to have it?
Well, because I knew I was going to come back, because I found out I was going to come back to go to the Atari day. And I'm like, "Why don't you just hold on to it?" And he's like, "I can't keep it past next month because my Tesla is arriving." And now he wants to drag race me in his Tesla. And I'm like, so I'm just maybe this summer.
If that happens, you're filming that. Please.
I know, but
you will be filming that. George R. R. Martin in a Tesla versus Ernie Klein in a DeLorean. Holy crap!
Yeah, I know, it would be great. But but then people give us crap. There was a picture of us posted online of he and I sitting in my DeLorean, and like one of the first captions was, "All I see is 2 guys who aren't writing their next book."
I knew
their next book. It was so great to get lumped in with him. I remember I was complaining. He's like, "How's your second book going?" And I was having breakfast with him, and I'm like, I started to stress out on him. I'm like, oh man, so much pressure, and I thought it was going to be faster than it actually is. It's taking me too long. And then I just hear him laughing. He's like playing the tiniest violin. And
It's like, really?
Yeah.
All you need to get is like,
I know.
just get Patrick Rothfuss in there too for the full trifecta of just like, for people to ask.
Well, you know whose book is coming out on the same day as mine? Who else's second novel is coming out on July 14th? Harper Lee. Her sequel
shit!
I know, so I'm a little bit faster than Harper Lee with the second novel. Cut me some slack. It only took me like 3 or 4 years, Harper Lee. I was just glad that J.D. Salinger isn't publishing his Catcher in the Rye sequel. So everybody.
No, well, he was, and then we actually called and asked if he could push that back. So
I thought, yeah, please. Yeah, I don't need everybody from English class kicking my ass. But
that was right now for Power. We were going to ask what books are you reading right now?
So for Geek Bomb, we do something called Power, which is playing, watching, and reading. That's the acronym. So we kind of share everything that we're playing, or watching, or reading. It could be a movie, it could be a TV show series, it could be a comic book, it could be a novel, and then playing it. I mean, you're a gamer. Yeah,
I play a lot of games with my daughter, and she's all into Mario 3D, and we play a lot of also New Leaf. Animal Crossing New Leaf is kind of awesome. If you have a 7-year-old, it's a really cool. It's like a little mini Oasis. You are like the mayor of a little town, and you can visit other people's towns, and it basically creates this whole virtual world. Nintendo. I'm getting into the new world of Nintendo. It's kind of amazing. But the novel I'm reading right now is Neil Stephenson's new book, Seven Eves, which is amazing. Neil Stephenson was at
Snow Crash, right?
Yes. So Snow Crash, which I tried to go up to him. He was at Book Expo America in New York that I was at last week, and we were at the same luncheon for booksellers, and I tried to, I'm like, I can't pass up my chance to talk to Neil Stephenson. So I went up and I geeked out on him the way that everybody does, which I love when people do it. So I did it to him. I'm like, this is my chance. Just like I did to William Shatner. Now it's your turn, Neil Stephenson. But he was so nice, and I never would have been able to write if it wasn't for Neuromancer and Snow Crash.
Snow Crash. I can't tell you how often I've reread Snow Crash. It's just I think actually the moment I finished Armada, I picked Snow Crash back up. I was like, I'll reread this now.
See, that's like him just firing and writing like one of the first great virtual reality novels, which he wrote. I think initially was going to be like an interactive, like a CD-ROM story, and then he abandoned that and just made it a fiction novel. But he wrote a lot of software while he was writing Snow Crash, so. It's amazing. His mind, like all of his novels are kind of amazing, and Anathem is another one of my favorite books. With Snow Crash and Neuromancer, kind of, I never would have written Ready Player One if I hadn't, read those books when I was a kid. Along with kind of all of Stephen King, I owe those books a huge debt, so I tried to get that out. Hopefully, if I just keep saying it in interviews, eventually Neil Stephenson it'll be through hearing.
So you're playing Animal Crossing. You're
Half-Life 3. I'm freaking out about, but but I'm trying not to think about that until it actually is in my hands.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you hold your breath, you will die. What are you watching then?
What am I watching? I tend to watch a lot of different stuff related to whatever I'm writing, and I'm writing the screenplay adaptation of Armada right now for Universal Pictures, so I'm watching a lot of Star Wars and a lot of Iron Eagle. I think the Iron Eagle poster is actually like right on the other side.
Someone's already commented about that, actually.
Yeah, well, Iron Eagle, everybody thinks Armada is ripping off The Last Starfighter, which I love The Last Starfighter, too. There's my French Last Starfighter poster.
Yes.
But I also love Explorers and Real Genius, and some movies like that. I think I just unplugged my Power Mac. But I will tell you, that the there we go.
That's okay. We're just gonna geek out and just kind of creepily look at all the stuff you have in your.
I know. Well, that's a prop from Fanboys. That's from the away team.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I was on this when I was on the set of Fanboys. I was stealing a lot of stuff off the set of my own movie, and now it's all gonna come out.
But no one's gonna stop you. I think it's fine.
But yeah, so I've been kind of watching a lot of. Armada is kind of my homage to all those movies: Explorers, War Games, Tron, kind of all those movies, Goonies, movies where. And stories that I read a lot of, like Heinlein Juveniles, where kids can do anything. Kids can find a treasure map and save their town. if their dad gets shot down, they and their computer hacker friends can like steal F-16s and go over and use like with the help of Lou Bassett Jr. and Twisted Sister, like bring him back. Like movies like that they just don't like make anymore, and that's the kind of story that I wanted to tell. And also I just love the idea of video games and all of pop culture kind of as a conspiracy. I think there is some conspiracy there, not the one that I've cooked up, but it was like fun and weaving like existing conspiracy into the story was so much fun. Well, Battlezone was the first game ever that got bought by the U.S. military. It came out in 1980, and by 1981. U.S. military consultants bought it and paid Ed Rotberg, who programmed it, to change it into a game called Bradley Trainer. They were going to use for real soldiers to learn how to operate the Bradley fighting vehicle, and that was way back in the 80s. Almost as soon as there were video games, there was like a military application for it. And now America's Army is like the #1 training tool for and recruiting tool. Like after kids take the ASVAB, they play America's Army. And then, it's like their #1 recruiting tool, and has been for like 15 years now. So video games is like a military recruiting tool, like it was real, like almost as soon as there were video games. Like Ender's Game kind of plays the idea.
I was going to say, it definitely reminded me a bit of Ender's Game in there too.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh yeah, but Ender's Game and The Last Starfighter and Star Wars, like all my favorite stuff, and just video games like Battlezone and Tail Gunner and the original Star Wars. Like Star Wars, I feel like is irrevocably kind of intertwined with the birth of video games. 1977, Space Invaders, the first like video game blockbuster, directly inspired by Star Wars, and everything kind of Defender, Asteroids, so much of that and space games, all inspired by the Star Wars films. And I feel like, and I grew up building little, pillow fort starship cockpits, in front of my television when I was a kid, and wanting to be Luke Skywalker. I think I dressed up as Luke Skywalker like 3 Halloweens in a row. So it felt like I was in the grips of propaganda that made me want to be Luke Skywalker and made me want to like train with my Atari to, and it's such a common fantasy. You play a video game, it's like a simulation, right? So you were like automatically like, oh man, I kick ass at this, man. If these useless video game skills actually had real world value, that would be amazing. So I love.
And now they do.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, it's true.
I love that it actually kind of became, and stop me if I'm getting spoilery, but you mentioned it, just that, all of these kind of sci-fi movies, books, video games are kind of softening people up and getting them ready for when the actual invasion really happens. And hey, this is going to be some crazy ass thing. This is what we do. This is how we're all going to band together.
Well, it's so much fun. That's a fun idea that was fun for me with Ready Player One, the idea of all this useless movie knowledge and pop culture knowledge that we all have. I heard you guys talking earlier when I first jumped on, like what would your, if you created the contest, what would your challenges be? I'm sure, and when everybody reads Ready Player One, they're looking for whatever their favorite thing was, Sliders or whatever crappy show they loved. I know. Oh man, I watched the hell out of Xena. Anything that was like, even remotely related to Evil Dead and Sam Raimi, and I felt like I love those. When Bruce Campbell would guest star, I was just almost in heaven. I heard they're making more Evil Dead Army of Darkness television show. Did you guys hear that?
They are.
They're in talks with it, yeah. Bruce Campbell and Sam Raimi are attached to it, and I'd be so happy.
You see how we've reached this golden age where if you come up with a good idea, you say to the people, do you want to give me money for this idea to do it? And the people say, yes, here's the money that you need to do this awesome. Yeah, it's
the jump from one to the other that we're still having trouble with sometimes, but we're getting there. We're getting there.
Yeah, it's true.
I did actually want to ask, because we brought it up earlier. Obviously Ready Player One and Armada are such huge reference feasts, obviously. But I mean, was it a challenge to try to make sure that the books were going to appeal to non-geeks too? Was there anything you directly addressed with that?
Well, I never try to it's not like I make a list of references and I'm going to shoehorn all this in. I just try to do it like I do when I'm talking to my friends or hanging out with people who have similar interests, and everybody now, everybody's a geek to some degree. Anybody who even is on the internet, you can't not absorb a certain amount of pop culture and movie news, and there's now with streaming, I feel like everybody has access to every movie ever made, and everybody's catching up. So a lot of people, Big Trouble in Little China is not as obscure as it used to be. Everybody's seeing Big Trouble in Little China now. But there was a time when you had to seek that out on video and not just what's this weird? What's this? You know. So I feel like and all these kids, you know, when I was writing Ready Player One, I'm like, well, maybe they tell you when you write your first novel to write what you know, and to write the book that you've always wanted to read. So I tried to just write it to please myself and just to maintain my interest in writing it and not think about, you know, I tried not to think at all about if anybody would get it. I just tried to finish it. And I never expected, I thought maybe people my age might get it, but I never imagined that kids who weren't even alive in the 80s would get it. But they love it just as a pure adventure story, and all the pop culture references, they are just delighted that they're real and look them up. Like if there's a reference to Oingo Boingo, they just pull up that video and watch it immediately. So it's like a multimedia primer on the 80s, you know, for them, which is a whole other kind of way to read a book that didn't exist, you know, before the internet. It's pretty awesome.
I do have a
I think, I was going to say, I think there's one reference in there that's close to Maud's heart, actually.
So when you were talking about studying the 80s and you had to know the television shows, movies, and music, you mentioned when you were burning the midnight oil, or when what Wade was, that you mentioned midnight oil.
Right.
Do you know midnight oil?
Oh my gosh. Yeah, you couldn't escape Beds Are Burning. When I was in high school, that was like crowded house. You just couldn't, every turn on the radio, it was, you know, that, and In Excess, which I remember the kids at my school mispronouncing Inkses. I'm like, have you heard this new band, Inkses? And I'm like, I think it's In Excess. Yes, I've heard them. They're good. But yeah, so.
I bring it up because my uncle is Peter Garrett from Midnight Oil.
Oh, right on. Well, I hope he, you know, one of the first people to read the book, Mark Fraunfelder from Boing Boing, is like, hey, I gave your book to David Byrne. And he really enjoyed it, and immediately I'm like, oh my God, I wrote a book about the 80s and did not mention Talking Heads anywhere. And now David Byrne read the whole thing and is like, oh, I guess I didn't make the cut. I'm like, oh. So I'm glad your uncle made the cut, and I apologize to David Byrne. Repeatedly. There's going to be a whole Talking Heads challenge in Ready Player 2, you know, like you have to make up for it.
You can make it up for him in the movie. Just pop him in there somewhere.
I know, wouldn't that be great? I would.
Is there a Ready Player 2?
There will be someday. You know, Zach Penn, while he was doing rewrites on the screenplay for Steven Spielberg, he's like, you know, we really want to hint at possible sequels at the end, and that was how he ended up kind of revealing that I had ideas for sequels. But I had already told people, you know, I had. During writing the novel, I never imagined it as being a series, but in the course of like going on book tours and getting asked about it a million times, it forced me to think about what the stories would be. And over the course of that, and I had thought about it before, but now I've kind of heavily sketched out, outlined 2 sequels. So, and I registered Ready Player 2 and 3 .com a long time ago to make sure that they wouldn't be porn websites.
You and Taylor Swift.
Yes.
Good
yeah. I better, like when I was registering Ready Player 1, I'm like, let's go ahead and register Ready Player 2 and 3, and I stopped at 3 because I never, you know, I don't want to be like, you know, Frank Herbert's son, or like writing Dune books forever. I would like, I always, you know, envisioned it as a trilogy. I like trilogies.
So we've got people writing in their questions. We've got one from Pal LG who says, question for Ernie. Do you have any actors in mind for any specific roles? You may not have a say in casting for the movie, but do you have any dream casting, maybe an actor that you visioned when writing the character?
No, I did not. You know, I envisioned like an amalgam of people or kind of a type of person, but not as specific actors, just because I didn't think it could ever be a movie when I was writing it. That was part of the reason I was writing it. I had you know, my first experience of getting my first movie made, Fanboys, which took 10 years to get made and got heavily altered and warped, and there was a big fight over the changing of the plot, and that experience taught me that if I wanted to, you know, tell a story and not have anybody mess with it, like fiction was one of the ways to do that, and also really empowering because you don't have to worry about a budget or, you know, making things happen in front of the camera. The book is always better because it plays out in your imagination, in the reader's mind's eye, and the special effects are always amazing. So it was really, and you can reference anything. You can have any soundtrack you want. You know, you can have any paintings you want hanging on the walls. It's a whole different thing in movies because you're actually reproducing them.
Now that you know it is going to be made into a movie, are you starting to see actors a little bit differently and maybe be like, ooh, I think I've just found my H?
Yeah, I don't even get to, like, they say in Hollywood as a joke, like you're not the low man on the totem pole. If you're the writer, you're the part of the totem pole that's under the ground. But I'm really lucky in that I'm the novelist and one of the first. I wrote the first draft of the screenplay, so I got to influence the direction the adaptation took and tell, show which parts of the story were important to me. And I feel like it's in the best hands ever. Like I just don't even have to worry. And I think I love the idea of unknown actors, like the original Star Wars. Nobody knew who those people were, but they became those characters, And if you cast people with television actors or people have another association with them, then I think they bring that baggage to the characters. So and they're all kind of young roles, so it would be cool to see people I had never seen before.
How was it getting it from the book to the first draft of a screenplay? Are there things that you kind of just had to leave high and dry, or did you have to kind of figure out how is this going to make it onto a big screen?
Well, I'd always, you as a writer, like for me, writing a book is like directing a movie on paper with unlimited budget and the perfect cast, and but you also have to do all the work, which screenwriters don't do. In a screenplay, you just write what happens and what people say, really. Kind of just basic action, and somebody else dresses the sets and dresses the actors and kind of fills out the whole world, where that's all kind of that's all on you as the author. It's really just what you can kind of draw in the reader's imagination. So it's different challenges, but I had to write my drafts of the Ready Player One screenplay. They optioned it before the book was even published, and I wrote my draft before the book even came out. So it's not like it was a bestseller yet, or I could even point to any success or a fan base when I was making changes. And it was my first time writing for a big movie studio, Warner Brothers. It was intimidating. You walk on that lot, the Animaniacs live right there in that water tower. It's like, oh, this is my job. I better take this seriously. So it was intimidating, and the screenplay kind of went kind of far away from my book, and then came back to my book. That's one of the reasons I hired Zach Penn, was to bring it back closer to my book, because people would read the script and then read the book and they wouldn't match up. And that was one of the coolest things that I heard about when Mr. Spielberg came on board, was that he brought in a copy of my book that they told me, it was like, Ernie, it's a good thing that you weren't there because you would have passed out, because he was like reading aloud from your book and pointing out things that he really likes. And so and you were
like, why didn't you get that on video?
There's no way that happened. I don't know, but so I'm so freaked out about that. Let's not talk about that anymore.
You must have so many pinch me moments. I mean, with George R.R. Martin having a race off with you in the Tesla, et cetera, et cetera. We just had Loot Crate right into the video stream just then, saying over 400,000 looters received Ready Player One through Loot Crate in a single week. We've read Armada, and we hope to include that someday too.
That's crazy. That happened right before the news about Steven Spielberg. It was it was amazing. So everybody already had a copy of my book that they didn't even ask for in their house when that news happened. So I feel like it's like people getting mail bombed. So I really appreciate them doing that. I got so many new fans as a result of them. Yeah. Just it's like phone books. Like they were just putting copies in my. I should do that, like leave them outside doors.
Perfect time to start talking about Armada. Where did this one come about? Obviously, when you do write a successful book, straight away they're like, all right, what else you got? And you're like, oh, okay. So where did this one come from? The idea.
I was, from this article I read about Battlezone when I was a kid in a video game magazine, that it was, and from reading Ender's Game and also growing up as a child of Star Wars. Like, Star Wars was the mythology of my youth, and I wanted, that was the very first time, 1977 Star Wars, that spaceships were ever tracking each other and fighting like fighters in a World War II movie. That had never, ever happened before. Before that, it was like Star Trek, and it was like submarines in space and kind of slow, kind of submarine blind combat. It was never like Star Wars, and that's, and then so many video games and Wing Commander and Elite and flight simulation games that I grew up playing were, I think, a lot of different game developers' attempts to recreate that feeling of Star Wars inside a video game, the way a lot of fantasy games were recreating the Dungeons and Dragons inside a computer simulation. So,
Ernie, I play Dungeons and Dragons, and I host a Star Wars podcast. You're taking the language here.
Yeah. So that it felt like I went as Luke Skywalker like 3 Halloweens in a row because I wanted to be Luke Skywalker so bad, and it felt like a propaganda machine wanted me to be Luke Skywalker. So that idea, Ender's Game and Star Wars and The Last Starfighter and Explorers and Galaxy Quest and Tron and War Games and anything where kind of that your fantasies come to life. That I don't know. I just love stories like that. And Ready Player One kind of plays on the video game. The video game has value trope in a different way, and this was much more difficult because it doesn't take place in a virtual reality where I could make up any rules that I wanted. It all takes place in the real world, so it's much more challenging story. Yeah, but hopefully I pulled it off. Seems like people are liking it. I'm so relieved. That thing where you write in isolation for a long time, and in Ready Player One, no one even knew I was writing it. So it's a whole different thing writing your second book with people waiting and asking you about it every day. I have so much more sympathy for George R.R. Martin and J.K. Rowling and Stephen King and all those people who have a huge, just people waiting, while they're writing. It's a good problem to have, but
we're still going to wait and wonder where all the other people are going. For those of you who don't know and who haven't seen the blurb yet, Armada is the next book from Ernie Klein. He has the first chapter up on his blog right now, so you can go ahead and read it before it comes out on July 14th. Essentially, the main character, Zach Lightman, is one of the best players in the world at this video game, Armada, and one day he's sitting in class, and one of the spaceships from Armada drops down outside in the window. And it turns out aliens are real. Everything about this game is real. It's been used as sort of a tool, kind of a recruiting, kind of a training program, and kind of comes into what happens next. So I'm excited. I loved it. I thought the book was really great. And it is peppered throughout with all of those 80s references and such. It's just kind of a cool take on the story. And I thought I knew where it was going, and but I wasn't completely prepared for the final twist, so that was cool.
Not completely prepared.
Not completely prepared.
That's a positive review in my.
I like this.
In my book.
This here looks like a kind of a Triforce on speed.
I know, isn't that cool? Will Sale designed that cover. He also designed the kind of the black and white British cover of Ready Player One. He's one of my favorite book designers. The whole look at the inside of the book is Russell Walks, who does a bunch of Star Wars artwork. He helped with the Earth Defense Alliance logos inside the book, and there's going to be all kinds of cool alternate reality stuff that happens when the book comes out. I'm excited.
I've only just seen what you've signed inside the book here, where it says, "To Maud, may the force be with you always," in an acronym. Thank you so much.
So good.
Part of me
explain what it was.
I was going to say, oh no, this is the thing. I'm so almost desperate to talk to you. Do you read the Star Wars comics, the latest? Because canon is just coming in left, right, and center with it all.
There's too much Star Wars coming at me now. I was watching Phineas and Ferb with my daughter, and it was a Star Wars episode. I'm like, oh, Disney is gotten out of control. So there's too much Star Wars coming at me now, and I had to kind of remain pure in my Star Wars watching while I was working on Armada. So I've had to shut it out. So no. I'm way behind. Kyle Newman is disgusted with me, the guy who directed
You haven't heard the news about Han Solo?
Well, what? You guys gonna spoil something for me now?
Not if you don't want me to.
No. I'm still, it was enough for me. The trailer was enough for me, and then I'm like, I'm just gonna step back and not look. You know what that was? That was the first time you see Han Solo and Chewbacca in a trailer for a Star Wars movie since 1983 is what that was.
Wow.
That was like the first time that's happened in 32 years. Yeah, so I know. 32 years of waiting for more Han Solo and Chewbacca, and now I got like 3 seconds of it, so that'll do.
Do you think, because JJ especially loves doing little hidden cameos, and he's called in his friends like Daniel Craig and Simon Pegg, blah, 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 just to do kind of like hidden secret cameos in there. Since Star Wars movies are slated pretty much for every 18 to 24 months from now on, would you want to be a part of Star Wars?
I feel like I'm in the middle of writing Armada for Universal Pictures, and they are telling me that they want it to be, a trilogy too, so I feel like I'm getting to do my own version of Star Wars, and my version of Star Wars is like happening in the present day with all the gamers of Earth fighting off aliens. For me, that's like, I love a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away, but like right now, like using my Xbox to fight off aliens, I just can't get enough of that. So I'm right in the middle of that, so I'm excited for Star Wars in December, but I'm trying, and I can't believe just the slate of talent. They've sucked up every great science fiction director and writer and brought back Lawrence Kasdan. It's amazing what's going on. But I've been all focused on getting to do my own kind of gamer geek version of Star Wars. So I'm trying to remain pure. So no spoilers.
But at the same time, if JJ called you up and said, "Hey, you want to walk on and just kind of, sit next to Han Solo and Millennium Falcon for a minute?"
Yeah, if I was in the background, I want to be a guy like operating a screen like down in one of the pits.
Hell, I'd even be a Mon Calamari. I don't care.
I'll do anything. Yeah.
Stephen Colbert did that walk on Lord of the Rings.
That's right.
So it can happen.
Yeah, so great. Yeah.
So it kind of sounds like if they want to do a trilogy for Armada and also for maybe Ready Player One, maybe you're getting a little bit George R.R. like in terms of like all the expectations of what people want.
Well, who knows? Anything is like Lost in La Mancha. You never know in Hollywood until actually cameras roll, and even then. So I'm so lucky. I'm getting to create like the kind of stories that I loved as a kid, and get to do my own kind of geeky spin on it. So I feel just really lucky. And who knows? I still have only ever had one movie made, and it was a roller coaster ride. So this will it's crazy. My second movie that I ever am involved in is going to be a Steven Spielberg movie. So I'm losing it.
Honestly, your life has just changed so much. And it's like a snowball effect with how it's happening. Like, how is it even going to get better and better and better? But if you've got another 4 books to write, by the sounds of it, with 2 different trilogies.
Who knows? Who knows when I'll get to those? I'm slow. I'm not fast, apparently. I'm not like Stephen King, man. I have so much more respect for that guy now. He just cranks them out nonstop, and still they're so good.
Quality too.
I know. And Neil Stevenson, also the guy. And just also good. So yeah, there's a lot. Thanks for bringing that up. Now I feel like I keep up with those guys.
Andrew Bills has just commented just to say, can you please let him know that I've already pre-ordered my copy of Armada? So there you go. As we've been doing the stream, people are buying the new book, which is fantastic.
I hate that. If somebody sees a movie that I want to see at a film festival, 2 months before, it makes me angry.
Yeah.
They're calling me I already saw that. It was so good. Oh, you're really gonna like it. I'm like, well, let me make up my mind about whether.
You can love it in 60 days.
I'm like, can't everybody just get it at once? And no, we got to release it early and build buzz. I'm like, I feel like there's enough buzz. But so I'm glad people, the elite who have gotten their early copies that they're digging it, like you guys. That makes me feel good. I'm excited for everybody to get to read it. I'm excited for the whole world, and it's going to be published in a lot of other languages, just like Ready Player One, which is something else I never expected, right? How does this book all about American pop culture work in everywhere? But I did Norway and Finland and Italy. I know it was. There's 22, 23 different translations of it, and people really. That's the thing. American pop culture is so pervasive by the '80s and ever since then that they know all of. It's pop culture is our culture. It's everybody's culture. So everybody knows Magnum P.I. and Knight Rider and the Goonies, I hope, right?
Well, and if you're talking about a lot of the video games and a lot of the TV shows, not everything originated in America. A lot of it came from overseas.
It's true. Max Headroom.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes, Max Headroom.
We've got a couple of questions coming in just to take us to the end of our lovely little Q&A. Trey Sanders has said, Ernest, what made you decide to write in first person? Being written as first person is the main reason I picked it up.
That seems like such an immediate kind of storytelling, and also as a novelist or a storyteller, jumping around different characters is an interesting narrative tool, but it makes a complicated story even more complicated because you have to keep track of who's kept track of what. So it helps. I don't know. It helps root the reader, and it helps move the narrative along faster for me. And I love. Knowing that Will Wheaton is going to read the audiobook in the first person makes it sound like almost a radio, like a one-man radio play, and he does voices and brings all the characters to life. So him doing it in the first person is like having the main character tell you their story.
Are you going to have Will read the audiobook for Armada as well? Do you have someone else you like?
He read it 2 weeks ago. He called me up. He's like, "How do you pronounce Soberkai?" I'm like Soberkai, and he's like, "I got it. Boom." That's
fantastic.
Yeah.
So cool.
Will Wheaton on speed dial. There you go. We've got one from Ryan Folsland who said, do you think that Steven Spielberg, frequent collaborator John Williams, will do the score for Ready Player One?
I don't know. Do you? That would be amazing.
Can you imagine? I mean, he's doing...
Yeah. Let's go watch the trailer for Scanners. and imagine. That would be like just picking pieces of my skull out of the camera. It would be crazy. No, can you imagine? Like, just, I can't. Yeah, I can't. But I can. And it would be amazing.
I can.
So excited. What? Yeah.
Well, the last thing that I kind of wanted to talk about is because you are mentioning so many TV shows and it's like all the games in one in the Oasis, are you finding that, because Warner Brothers is doing the film, that there's a few licensing issues with some of the things in the book? Because I kind of can't get my head around how that could legally work.
Well, the two instances that I always thought of were Who Framed Roger Rabbit, where you had Bugs Bunny and Mickey Mouse like dancing together in the same movie, and who made that happen? Steven Spielberg and Bob Zemeckis. Like and the other example is the Lego Movie, which also was Warner Brothers, and then when they announced Ready Player One, Steven Spielberg is the director. They mentioned that their experience with the Lego Movie was when you approach somebody to let them use your IP in the movie, it's only going to help sell more. When you have they only sold more Star Wars Legos or more Ninja Turtles Legos or more, and I'm sure that I think Ready Player One has probably sold some copies of Monty Python's Holy Grail and Rush's 2112. I think all those, like having them mentioned in the book, only like exposes more people to them and helps. And same with a movie. And like, would you turn down like the chance to have your song in a Steven Spielberg movie? Like I wouldn't. Like turn down the chance to have any, So I feel like he's the one person that everybody would say yes to, and Warner Brothers is the biggest movie studio, and they have they own so much of the '80s music and movies that are referenced in the book anyway. So I don't know. It could be like another perfect storm, like Who Framed Roger Rabbit or the Lego Movie. I don't know. It could. Who knows?
Crossing.
I know, right? But so far, so good.
When do you think we can expect the movie?
I in the next couple of years, I think they might shoot it next year, and then maybe the year after that it would come out. So 2017. I went and looked at the IMDb page, and just that gives me chills. Just seeing his name there at the top of the IMDb, just that does it. I know it's just HTML, just somebody updated it, but still, it's just that. It's not as good as the poster. But yeah, the poster. There's gonna be a poster with my name on it and his name on it. That's crazy. And Zach, I'm so excited, guys. And the first trailer, like all that stuff to look forward to, like it's really exciting.
Yeah, this is only going to get bigger and bigger every single day. This is so exciting. What's going to happen for your life? I'm so happy for you.
Well, thank you.
And thank you so much for joining us and for coming on to Geek Bomb just for a little bit so we could talk about not only Ready Player One, but your brand new book, Armada, which will be out July 14th. So if you do want to pre-order that one, jump onto wherever you get your books and make sure you do that now because it sounds like it's going to be a blast. Hey, Ernie, where can people follow you on Twitter and get to know more about you and all of your online movements?
On Twitter, I'm just Ernie Klein. And my website's ernieklein.com or ernestcline.com. I registered both because I'm that big of a geek. I need to make sure people could find me. Thank you for having me, ladies. I enjoyed hanging out with you.
Oh, it's our pleasure.
Hey.
Thanks, Ernie. It's always good to see you. And thank you again. Armada was great. I can't wait for everyone else to read it too. And I love it. And it's soon.
I know. Just like a few weeks. Are you guys going to be at Comic-Con?
Yeah, definitely.
I'll see you at Comic-Con.
Yay! Awesome. Then we'll be able to actually talk about the movie in depth around other people.
True. We could tell
the book. Yes.
I tell you what's really going on.
Yes. Guys, if you only just caught a little bit of this stream, you can catch the full thing at Geek Bomb's YouTube page. So give it a like, subscribe, and share the love because holy hell, some of the things that I discovered in this chat have absolutely rocked my geek world. Ernie, thank you so much for your time. We'll see you at Comic-Con. Sound good?
All right. See you guys. Bye.
Bye.